On the show today, let's talk about a woman who builds an app to give all the women a safe space online, and a man who identifies as a woman gets denied entry, and she, well, the one who created the app, gets dragged to court. The judge sides with him, not her. Him. That's right. In Australia, right here, in Queensland. The woman, her name is Sal Grover, founder of Giggle for Girls, and if she loses her next appeal, female-only spaces in Australia could disappear literally overnight. I'm not kidding, because there's a precedent that has been set right now. They've twisted the meaning of inclusion until it's become a weapon. Today, inclusion now means excluding anyone who refuses to kneel to the absurdity, and anyone who still believes that the truth and reason matters, and the survival of humanity is absolutely dependent on it. So, let's talk about how we got here, and why Sal cannot stand alone. Don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell, and share this with every person that you know. I'm Emeka Unscripted, and this is Emeka Unscripted. Back to Emeka Unscripted, where we talk about the issues most people try to tiptoe around, with facts, logic, and courage. Today's story isn't about politics, it's about literally common sense, and what happens when society starts to call boundaries discrimination. Grab a coffee, maybe, if you have one, make a hot drink, this is a good one. Now, in 2021, Sal Grover, a former Hollywood scriptwriter, created an app called Giggles for Girls. It was designed to be a safe space, a digital safe space, for women to network, share opportunities, and, well, just be women. Or at least that's how I understand it. I wouldn't know because I'm a man, and I can't go on the app because I'm a man, which seems like common sense. But you know, because biological women need a safe space that is away from predators, that's why I'm not on it, making that clear. It's a simple idea, really. Female space for females, nothing radical about that whatsoever. Well, then came a user named Roxy Tickle, and I kid you not, that's the name. Go Google it.
Since I found out earlier this week that the decision was finally coming, I've been bursting into tears at different moments because I knew that soon this would all be over.
Seriously, this was a biological man who identifies as a female. Yeah, let me kind of backtrack on that and say that one again. It's a biological male with the anatomy of a male, genitals of a male, skeletal structure of a male, that will still identify as a man literally 100 years from now when they dig up his grave.
Roxy Tickle was born a man, but now identifies as a woman. But when Roxy joined the female-only app, Giggle for Girls, she got barred. It raised the question, what's it mean to be female? That was answered by the federal court today.
Roxy Tickle, how are you? How are you feeling today?
We will focus on
Tickle versus Giggle.
Sal Grover, good morning. How are you feeling ahead of today's decision?
Good.
Today's ruling in the landmark case between transgender woman Roxy Tickle and Giggle for Girls app owner Sal Grover means we now live in a different Australia, according to Sex Discrimination Commissioner Anna Cody.
So what the judge found is that there's 30 years of legal precedent, legal cases which have found that woman includes trans women.
And Women's Forum Australia CEO Rachel Wong.
In practical terms, any man who feels like a woman, says he's a woman, identifies as a woman, can access female-only spaces like bathrooms, changing rooms.
Till now, the argument, what is a woman, has been stuck in a social grey area. But today, a federal court judge put it in black and white. His Honour found Tickle had been indirectly discriminated against when Tickle was kicked off Grover's Women's Only Help app.
I brought my case to show trans people that you can be brave and that you can stand up for yourself.
The app's AI gender recognition software, designed to sift through members' uploaded selfie pics and screen out men, allowed Tickle in, but Grover kicked her out. The transgender woman claimed she was legally entitled to use services meant for women, so she was discriminated against based on her gender identity.
But a small group of people have taken it upon themselves to declare that I am not who I know I am, and they've set about making my life miserable.
From what I understand, the Giggle selfie verification system flagged the account not to be male, it was a female, and blocked access to this female, actually male, who was trying to be a female, you know, facial bone structure of a male. Anyway, as it should, it did its job. The app did its job, because literally my 3-year-old can look at the face of the man that we will now show you and say, "Daddy, that's a man." So the app, pretty smart, can go, "That's a man." But anyway, now what followed wasn't a discussion, it was a lawsuit. Like, Mr., Miss, I don't really know, decided to sue Giggles, Sal Grover. Now, Mr. Giggles, the Giggle versus Tickle case, which I will now fondly name him Mr. Giggles, sued under the Sex Discrimination Act of 1984, claiming that gender identity discrimination has occurred in this scenario. And, well, in 2024, the federal court ruled against Giggle.
It's the first time alleged gender identity discrimination has been heard by our federal court, and the world was watching. Famous author J.K. Rowling and tennis great Martina Navratilova backing Grover in the 2.5-year acrimonious ideological debate, trans inclusion versus sex-based rights.
I know that I can now get on with the rest of my life, have coffee down the road with my friends, play hockey with my hockey team, and now put all of this horribleness behind me. Thank you.
Roxy, what was your feeling?
She's not going to be taking any more comments.
While Roxy Tickle didn't take questions, Sal Grover did in this exclusive sit-down with A Current Affair. Sal Grover, you've just been found guilty of indirect discrimination against a woman. How do you feel?
I will say, in my view, I've not been found guilty of indirect discrimination against a woman, because the whole crux of the case was that I don't acknowledge that this male person, adult human male, is a woman.
Law changes made a decade ago made this decision possible today. So are you saying there is something wrong with the current law?
Without a doubt. Like, if any man claiming to be a woman was actually a woman, their rights would have actually existed under the Sex Discrimination Act how it was before the amendments. It had to be amended so that men could be included as women into it.
Why did the app kick Roxy Tickle out in the first place?
I, at some point, would have seen a picture of a male and gone, "That's a male." That's all.
And here we are today.
And here we are today.
Tickle sued for direct and indirect discrimination, seeking $200,000 in damages. The judge only favoured indirect discrimination and ordered Grover to pay Tickle $10,000 plus costs.
I paused for effect because that's correct. You heard it right. The judge called it indirect discrimination and awarded Tickle $10,000. Mr. Tickle. I think I called him Giggle before, but he's Mr. Tickle. I don't really know. Yeah, $10,000 in damages. The reason? Well, a neutral rule like women only disadvantages trans women. That was it. He feels disadvantaged. So he can't be on the app.
What's this cost you?
By the end, we will have spent potentially around $1.2 million establishing that men are not women. And it just feels like decades / a century of women's rights just goes out the window. You go, okay, we've got the right to vote, fantastic. Who on earth would I vote for right now if they're not even going to say what a woman is?
Roxy Tickle says she's the victim in all of this.
I mean, he is entitled to whatever opinion he wants to have, and I think in a civilized society I am entitled to disagree with him. And sometimes I go, it's just an app. Like, there are lots of apps out there that I would not be welcome on. Like, I'm not a gay man, for example, so gay male dating apps are not for me. That's fine.
So, anyway, it's so funny. It's hilarious. But here's the thing. A woman that has created space for women was punished for being exclusive to women. That's the insane world we now live in. She was punished by the judge on a technicality that a trans man, I don't know what, that a man who is a man, genitals of a man, is excluded by default from a female space. He wins. Because now, being forced to accept that fundamental truth, one that has existed since the dawn of time, no longer matters. Correct. It no longer matters. Sorry. That a man's feelings, since when do men have that much feeling that they have to feel the need to go and sue? I know a depraved degenerate, one who is pathologically insane.
And I'll pull you up there because you keep referencing to Roxy Tickle as he. Yet a judge has found today that Roxy Tickle is a woman.
Yeah, I mean, law is supposed to reflect reality, and in reality, this person is a male. So, I mean, you can make a court believe something, I suppose, but you're not going to make me believe it. So to be punished for acknowledging biological sex, I think puts all Australians at risk of being punished for having human instincts.
The judge has given you an option to walk away from this, for 10 grand plus a cap on certain costs. Will you walk away?
It has always been my intention to appeal to the highest place that I can, which in Australia would be the High Court. Always, since day one. I've said I will go as far as I need to. I have a daughter. She's 2. I cannot send her out into the world where she has no rights. There is a next generation of little girls that we have to protect and make sure we hand them a world that the women before us gave us.
Sally Grover, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So, if you are not disgusted by now or enraged, then you haven't been listening to me. And go ahead and rewind the show and listen to it again if you thought that was fun. Because we now have entered an era where we must say, sorry women, you can no longer have a space where you can feel safe. Because we want to be exclusively inclusive. Yeah. Anywho, now Sally is appealing the decision, and her team argues that Giggle is a lawful special measure under the Section 7D of the Act. A measure designed to advance women's equality. That's what that act was originally designed for. Yeah, that one probably went a little bit too far feminist, didn't it? You didn't see this one coming, did you? Anyway, Sally herself has said she may leave Australia if female-only spaces are no longer lawful, which is totally fair enough, because I do not want my daughter to be sharing a bathroom with a male degenerate. Because if you are in that bathroom because you identify as a female and you're a male, you're a degenerate. Literally, full stop, period. Because what factual biology means doesn't really mean anything anymore. So Australia, I am asking you, if you are watching this right now and you're listening to this, I have 2 simple questions for you. In the famous words of my good friend and colleague, who I don't know at all, but I will be tagging him on this because I'm sure he will love it, Matt Walsh. What is a woman? And would you stand up to defend them? That's a genuine question. Would you stand up to defend women? Because we cannot have blokes that are obviously psycho and not all there in the brainy parts. There is insufficient brain matter going on there to be invading this space, and a judiciary system that should be the voice of reasoning not supporting the women. We need to say no. There should be an absolute outrage about this. And if this resonates with you, don't just sit back and be angry about it. Put your money where your mouth is. Support Sal. Go to my website, edwinweza.com/petition, and you will be able to contribute to her legal defense. Sal is standing for all women. She's fighting to make sure female spaces stay protected from the kind of delusional behavior the court is currently rewarding, similar to how it decided to reward a bunch of lunatics who are fighting for the right to let children's penises be cut off or castrated in some way, because I think castration applies to both. So, if you comment stand with Sal below, we will try to get the link to you where you can support Sal's movement to stand with her, because like I said, she cannot stand alone. All right, let's move over to the main segment for today. I wanted to break down something that has happened right under our nose, right here in Australia. The problem is we don't even recognize that it's happened. If you've noticed, there's been a phenomena for a while now that if the Australian people say no to something, their overlords will find a way to do it anyway. If you haven't noticed, it's happening in Victoria, Victorian Premier. Now, I have seen the thing going around where the Victorian Premier, Jacinta Allen, has recently decided that she will elect, or rather put in place, somebody that will be the voice, even though 54% of Victorians said absolutely not. And she decided she's going to do it anyway because she doesn't listen to you, because you don't apparently pay their bill, even though you elected her party, even if not her, to run your state. Yeah, I'm not actually talking about that. I'm actually talking about something very different. Or maybe even the time that you said, we don't want our digital spaces to be controlled, and they go, right, we hear you. No control of your digital space, but your kids, right? Let's ban 16-year-olds and make you have to enter information anyway, so we can monitor you anyway. Well, the good news is they're still not listening, and they will still use every opportunity under the sun to do whatever the hell that you say you don't want to do, as long as it lines up with their agenda. That's exactly what they're doing. So right now, let's watch what happens, or rather happened in Victorian Parliament not all that long ago. The question was asked, would Jesus being mocked at a Mardi Gras event be captured as hate speech under the law that was being introduced to effectively, let me just dumb it right down, because they're going to talk about it in great language, which we'll show you in a minute. But the law was basically, if I say something that you classify it as hate speech and it offends you, and you just don't like it, it's offensive, would you be charging me with a criminal offense? Would I be chargeable under this law with a criminal offense? That's what the law was seeking to introduce. Absolutely. Right? Okay. So let's watch this phenomena for a minute.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Thank you, Deputy President. Thank you, Minister. So, would Jesus being mocked in the Mardi Gras be considered hate speech and captured by this law?
Mrs. MacArthur, well, I don't. Is your Jesus? What attributes does the Jesus that you're referring to have? Like it's a ridiculous situation that you're putting. You're making a mockery of of this legislation, and I find your question really offensive.
Minister, I actually find your response offensive to the people who respect Jesus.
That's how it started. Mock the question. When a question is being asked, you just mock it. Blur the meaning. You see, when power feels concerned, it does two things. It muddies the water and it takes offense at the question. That's exactly what you can see here. We saw Jacinta Allen and Albanese when you ask them questions and they just make you feel like you're stupid for asking it. That's their MO. You remember Jacinta's face? Oh, what are you talking about? How dare you ask me such a question?
I do find that actually offensive. This occurred where Jesus, the Jesus that people know in the Christian Bible to be, a part of their religious belief, being mocked in the Mardi Gras, they may well have found that offensive. Will that be captured under this law?
Sir?
Arthur, if I take literally your question and your reference to Jesus, your hypothetical is impossible because Jesus hasn't attended the Mardi Gras unless he has come back to life in a recent term of events that I'm unaware of. So your hypothetical situation is to making a mockery of serious legislation. More than happy to entertain your questions, but the literal reality of your hypothetical is even beyond hypothetical if I am to take your comments about the particular Jesus that we're referring to is the Jesus that is in the Bible, and you're saying, is he attending the Mardi Gras?
Come on, man. We all know the point was a depiction of mocking the Christian faith at a public event, not the literal attendance of Jesus. I mean, don't be stupid. You can obviously ascertain that. My 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 4-year-old can ascertain that was not the intent of the question.
Deputy President, so just to explain for the sake of the Minister, there was a situation recently at the Mardi Gras where a statue of Jesus was depicted and was jeered at and made fun of, which was highly offensive for many religious believers and would have been seen as a way of vilifying their actual faith, to take the symbol of their faith and their God and to take it in a way that was being made fun of and was in fact therefore making fun of everyone from that people group that may actually have followed Jesus and believe in Jesus to be more than just a statue. And so in this situation, the question is, could this be seen as a form of vilification? I mean, the question arises because one of the most vilified people groups in this state are actually people of religion who have the Christian faith as their religion.
Minister. At the outset, these laws are designed to protect people's right to practice their religion, be it your religion is a protected attribute. Mrs MacArthur's question did not refer to a depiction of Jesus. In fact, she followed it up with making very clear that I was certain of the particular Jesus that she was referring to, and she referred to an individual. It also is a situation that, as I understand it, the Mardi Gras happens in Sydney. So we are talking about hypothetical of a real person, a depiction in a different state.
But see how serious issues are deflected with sarcasm? Then they'll say, well, it happened in New South Wales, not Victoria. That's the next line there. Another dodge. The real question was, if the same thing happened here, would the law protect Christians from vilification? Yes or no? Like it happened in New South Wales. If it happened right here, where this law is being suggested, that if a person simply says that you didn't use my preferred pronoun, I am offended, I am going to go report you to the police, or the other insane one that I heard, which is actually it's not even hearing it, I've read about it myself. If a Christian was to pray for somebody who wanted to maybe stop doing things that were sinful, like, I don't know, identifying or, being gay. I'm sure somebody's going to take offense to that. If somebody asked for prayer and a Christian was to pray for them, that is now under this law prohibited. And it's an offense. It is a jailable offense. It's a very simple question, yet they couldn't answer it. And here's what that means in plain English. They wrote the law so broad and so vague that only the judge gets to decide if you're guilty or not. That's why anyone literally can just say, I am offended. You have offended me. You said something that I don't like. That is hate speech. And, well, I'm going to tell the police and you'll be charged with an offense and criminally prosecuted. The same way you will be if, I don't know, you were to steal my car. Okay, so today, your faith is a mere offense, according to her. Tomorrow, it's a serious incitement that will land you in prison. That's what she's saying. There it is. So, if mocking Christians happens under the rainbow lights, it's art. It's nice. It's completely fine. But if a Christian prays for someone who asked for it, that's harm. Same law, different standard of applications. So, tears by a Christian don't count. You heard it. But a tweet that offends someone else, as long as it's under the banner of the rainbow, folks, it applies. You know what that is? Selective compassion. Because they're doing this under the guise of compassion for those that have, well, pathologically insane identification system. Yeah, that's what I'm calling it. You can catch me if you like. The pattern is clear. Blur the language, shift the standard, punish the unfashionable, and that same mindset is exactly what put Sally Glover in court. This is not random. If you think it is, it's not. It's the system working as it has been designed. Vague laws that can mean whatsoever the loudest voices need it to mean. Let's make it plain. The federal court reads the Sex Discrimination Act to treat sex-based spaces as suspect. In simple English, the federal court now believes under the act that if it's a sex-based location, space, like a bathroom, then, well, it's debatable whether it allows the opposite gender into it. It's all up for dispute, or rather debate. 2, the state expands anti-vilification laws so broad that feelings now replace facts. And you see, that is the problem in which we're facing. We no longer base anything on facts, we're now completely basing it on feelings. There are literally laws being made based on feelings. Think about Sal Glover for a minute. She loses her case because a man wasn't happy. Yeah. In Victoria, the new Justice Legislation Amendment for the Anti-Vilification Social Cohesion Act of 2024 adds gender identity to the protected attributes that it creates, right? And on top of that, it creates criminal offense with penalties up to 5 years in jail. 5 years in jail for serious vilification. Serious vilification, by the way, that can be absolutely determined by the judge of the day, well, depending on what side of the fence they sit. It sounds fine, right? Until you realize how subjectively serious this is. And by the way, under this law, what's serious for you could simply be comedy for somebody else, right? So they're mocking Jesus, but it's art, it's funny, it's comedy, right? You call them by the wrong pronoun, it's not funny, it's serious vilification and you're going to jail. That is what we've allowed right under our nose. And if you combine that with the cultural pressures, and you get a law that works with vibe. Not a law by logic, just vibe. Well, I'm vibing it. Yeah, you know, that Gen Z saying that I'm vibing, it's now how our judges in our judiciary system now determine how to make a decision. No logic, not facts, just vibe. I feel we're literally running away from the very bedrock on which laws were established, logic, facts, and truth, if we've forgotten. All objective, not subjective. It's now completely subjective. What a sad day for all of us. And yeah, that's how we ended up with Sal Glover, who was being penalized for protecting women, while public mockery of Christianity gets dismissed as art. Fun. What makes it worse is that this law forces you to accept outright lies, a complete distortion of reality, as facts. That is, you know, you should be able to look at a man who decides to grow a pair of boobsicles to adorn themselves and their delusional fetish and call him a she. And if you don't, they'll be very angry because you misgendered them. And this will get reported. Report you. You call me he, she, him, I don't know, they, them. It will be reported as a criminal act because you just caused an egregious offense to their soul. Yeah, now Victoria is busy arresting people who calls him a she whilst they have machete crimes all over their state. That's how that works. It's literally just exactly like what you're seeing happen in the UK, except, well, actually, I don't think there are any exceptions. It's literally just all the same. We're not convicting real criminals anymore. We're convicting people under the act that they feel racially, or rather sexual, I don't know, vilified in some sort. Now, we've already seen an unelected bureaucrat in our judiciary system overturn the decision made by our elected representative to stop child castration, as it simply isn't right. But these systems that they've created to serve the good of people have now become, well, they've completely been infiltrated by pathological psychopaths. So unless we rise up and say, no thank you, I'm not interested, the majority of us do not agree with this stuff. The system that is supposed to serve us is going the other way. We will remain in this cycle that is heading to our collective doom. And if Giggle loses the appeal, the female-only spaces, events, apps on phones, shelters, all of it will become absolutely fragile under our modern-day legal system. And if you don't believe me, go and have a read about it. I will put as many things as we can so you can see what I'm talking about is absolutely real and it's happening. If this new wave of vilification laws keeps spreading, ordinary speech could be treated as criminal, as I have said. I'm not talking hypotheticals either. People are already being told that they must affirm whatever the state defines as truth or risk disciplinary action, job loss, business loss, or even charges that will land them in prison under the law that we just went through, under what just happened in our parliament, in the Victorian parliament, not my parliament. Thank God for that. Anyway, this sanity is, this is how we redefine what sanity is by law. So to be clear, what I'm saying is we're not far from being told that if you don't affirm this as sanity, you're the criminal. You are. Actually, that's already begun. It's already happening. So not really sure why I'm saying if we don't, because it's happening now. So what can you do about it? Here's a few things I think. You need to back Sal Glover. Sal Glover needs your backing to appeal her case. You need to share her story with every person that you know. And you need to follow the official federal court file. She's made all of it available. You need to have a look and make sure that if you can support it in any way, including donating if you can, support it. Because that's one way we can stand and say no. Because if this fails right here in Australian court, she'll have to go to the High Court. And she needs to be able to fund this. 2, contact your members, your MPs, and ask for the clear sex-based language in the law and truly neutral vilification standards, not these biased ones. Victoria, yes, I'm looking at you and talking to you because you guys have set the precedents for this to happen everywhere. And stay loud, but respectful, obviously. Not like me. Keep calling people names. But you need to be loud and proud about the fact that we will not accept these things. Use your voice while it matters before your voice is regulated. If we lose this case, the next one will decide whether truth itself can now be called hate. And for crying out loud, common sense is not hate. Female space is not bigotry. It's called boundaries. Laws must protect everyone equally, or they will literally be protecting no one at all. Remember, if you agree with what I'm saying today, comment below, stand with Sal. Make sure you jump on and support her before the next court ruling drops, which will be in February 2025, I believe. I'm Emeka Unscripted, and this is Emeka Unscripted. Godspeed.